Fred DeFalco and the gold.
Good morning, everyone. And you said? Well, everyone doesn't.
Good morning.
All right, you put it in the chat. You can put it in the chat. Anyway, listen, I'm really excited this morning, and that's not unusual for me. I'm excited most mornings. But, this topic is near and dear to my heart, the goal mind. And I can't wait to present it here to you. And as we go through this, one of the reasons I don't like putting things in the daily upload and is because, I don't want people looking, at material. I want you to be thinking, okay, as we're doing this, because that's what these Soulful Wednesdays are all about. It's a personal development mastermind every Wednesday. Each week, the message is different, but the goal the same. And that this week is the goal mind, okay? Soulful Wednesday is a thinking safari. This is the way I want you to think right now. Don't worry about hurry up and getting in the notes and all that kind of stuff. I'm more concerned when I present is what you're thinking about yourself, what you're thinking about your own thought. How does it apply to me? That kind of thing. More than what I said is your response to it. So let's do it as a thinking safari, and we're going to go through the jungle of your mind to help you discover your soul is a deep reservoir and an untapped well, because that's what our souls are. It's definitely a deep reservoir and an untapped well. And all the lions and tigers and bears in our lives are just imaginary and illusionary, and they're illusions. And the older that people get and the more experience they get, especially in the area of personal development, the more they realize that most of their battles were imaginary in their entire life and all illusions. And I could go into some really ugly battles that I could tell you all about. And even though they seemed real, they were real, and all the other things in one way. In another way, a lot of the results were made up, because life is not happening to us, it's happening for us. And that's anything and everything. So these Soulful Wednesdays, for those who've been on the call with me, is that, it's the foundation of this is the examining our life. Socrates said an unexamined life is not worth living, right? So and as we go through this, anything I have highlighted in yellow is your homework. This is where I want you don't be getting on YouTube and doing it now, okay? Please stick with me. Let's stay on the safari together. But anything I have highlighted in yellow, that's your homework, and I just want you to jot that down, okay? So you can either send me, which I'm going to explain here in a second, you're going to send it to me, or you're going to go to YouTube University after this call's over, or when you're going back through your notes, you go to YouTube and you're going to put some of this in YouTube or Google, and I'm going to point that out as I go through. I want you to make note of my number here, okay? This is going right into my database, my CRM, 561-609-1388. Jot that number down. And it's for a couple reasons. I'm going to have you text me some answers here in a second. And then also, if you're interested, I want you to send me your name, your email, and your physical mailing address, because throughout the year, I'm going to surprise you with a book every now and then. And then just put in your your text to me, note Soulful Wednesday, because you're going to be in my Soulful Wednesday following, because we're going to take this into a podcast and into a YouTube channel. I have people working on it now. And when these things are over and during the week, as I'm developing more thoughts, like with the goal mind, you're going to get the backup material to it. So if you're interested in that, send me definitely your name, your email, and your physical mailing address. And then with the note, Soulful Wednesday, because, personal development is where it's at. And if we don't have the mind, the proper mind, the goal mind, and you're going to see why it's so important. And then this is a reminder, we go through this weekly, Socrates' quote cost him his life. And I always say, you practice his philosophy or it will cost you your life. And if you don't examine your life, you're going to end up at a place where it's not worth living. So we have to examine our life. The reason I have philosophy highlighted, I want you to really play with that on YouTube. There's a short course in philosophy, a 6-minute video that we played a few weeks ago for everybody. So that's homework. Study what philosophy is, because that's part of the exam life. So practice this philosophy over the course of your life. My whole goal in life, and I've been doing this since I've been in this business 43 years ago. I sold for 3 years and went into management. And my office became a #1 office. I was only a 26-year-old manager. In 1 year, it was a brand new startup office out of 13 offices, because my main emphasis in my office was always I wanted to raise the level of thinking among my people. And we had an office of 35 people, and we averaged 100 sales, not average, our top months would hit 105 sales a month and 100 to 105 listings a month. Do that math with 35 people. And that was all based upon my entire job, my entire dedication to my staff was always raising the level of thinking. I always want to get people out of their own way. That's what Soulful Wednesdays is about. Defeat your one and only enemy, yourself. This is your homework, soul versus ego. I want you to YouTube that. I want you to Google that. I want you to post out the list of what the difference is between soul and ego, because this is all about, living is all about the soul, and soul versus ego is a real challenging. There's a bunch of poems on it. And I've shared mine with you a number of times. So that's your homework. You never see things the way they are. You always and only see things the way you are. That is so important. And that's what the Soulful Wednesdays are always about, is getting us to see differently. Truly, who would you be if you did not know who you were? What would you create, accomplish in life if you knew success was guaranteed and you could not fail? And then the concept of life is not happening to us, it's happening for us. So I want you to think for yourself, or you will fall for anything. It's the proactive versus reactive. And YouTube is a university. And this is another part of your homework. I want you to spend your goal setting under the mental area of your life, right, which I'm going to get to in a minute. Study self-mastery. Study that on YouTube and watch those videos. I think that many of us on here would agree with this. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings experiencing humanity, and here to light humanity up and give away the only thing we came here with. And my philosophy is that that's all we came with was love. And there's a poem that I live by. I have it up everywhere that I can have it up. I use it all the time. I give it away in all birthday gifts to my grandchildren. They get that poem every year. As soon as they open their card up, they know the poem's in there. I'm going to send that to you when you send me your information. And I've shared it with the group many times. And then the other concept of the Soulful Wednesday is, what are we? Who are we? Why are we here? And every Wednesday, I'd like to try to get us thinking in that direction on our safaris. So the goal mind. What is the goal mind all about? It's about a life by design. You can live life by design or default. And the goal mind is definitely living life by design, not by default. It's proactive versus reactive. There's some more homework for you. I want you to go to YouTube and say, how do I become a proactive person versus a reactive? The videos you'll find on that is phenomenal, and it will raise your level of thinking. Goal achieving versus tension relieving. That is what the goal mind is all about. Most of us, we spend the majority of our time in seeking things that will relieve some tension, whether it's watching TV, whether it's drinking too much, or whether it's eating too much, or whether it's doubting too much, whatever, it's tension relieving. So the goal mind, when we're finished today, I want us all to have a mind that is all about goal achieving all the time, not tension relieving. Now, you may say, Fred, are you trying to tell me that watching television is bad? No, that could be a part of your goals. If it's set up that you're going to watch a movie with your sweetheart or with your loved one or with your significant other, a minimum once a week because you enjoy movies, and that's a goal achieving activity. But if you catch yourself watching a movie and you turn around and you look at your others and you say, hey, you want to watch another one? There's nothing with any purpose in mind, and that's tension relieving, not goal achieving. So the goal mind is all about that, proactive versus reactive. And it's all about having that mindset that's always about achieving, not relieving. And that is so critical. And goal setting, and when you see where I go with this, we have two choices. We either have a goal mind or we have a monkey mind. And many of you may have heard of monkey mind. And only a goal mind can tame the monkey mind. And the monkey mind, is that it's a Chinese term. It's a Buddhist term meaning unsettled. I can't see a lot of your hands because I'm sharing my screen, but raise your hand so others can maybe see. Or put in the chat box, say, hey, if I say something that sounds like your mind, just say, yep. And if all of you don't answer, yep, then I'm going to ask about the, integrity. How many of you have an unsettled mind? A lot of times, or a restless mind, or a capricious mind, or whimsical mind, or fanciful mind. Always dealing in fantasies, or inconstant, confused, indecisive, uncontrollable. And I like this one, fanciful, where person or their thoughts and ideas over an imaginative and unrealistic, a fanciful story about a pot of gold existing only in the imagination or fancy. So, I love the comments. Amen. That's what you call monkey mind. See my little friend here? My little friend. And I always want to be reminded not to have that monkey mind. And the only way I'm able to do that is by having a goal mind. And you don't have to see this. I'm going to read it to you. And that is always having goals so big I can't achieve them until I grow into the person that can. Make sure we have goals so big that we can't even achieve them until we grow into the person who can. And how do you do that? You work harder on yourself than you do your relationships. You work harder on yourself than you do your business. You work harder on yourself than you do your body. You work harder on yourself than you do with your family. And it's all about that self-mastery first, and that you have goals so big that you can't achieve them until you grow into a person who can. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And goal setting is so many people, they avoid it because people have complicated it so much. And today, before we leave here, I want to simplify it to a point where every single one of us, before we get off this call, are so serious and understand how fun goal setting is, and that it creates a goal mind so we get out of this monkey mind. What does a monkey mind look like? Okay, this is from a book, Monkey Mind, a Memoir of Anxiety by Daniel Smith. And I love this image. If you look at this image, look at this. Does this describe any of you? The big serpent coming after you. You got to have the umbrella here, the storms, and then, I don't know, maybe a little bit of whatever this is, the drugs, and, ketchup squirting all over and the place turning black. You have a heart, but it's got two different colors. How about that? Isn't that amazing? A blue and red side. That's interesting. The person who painted this. and I always say, when you have a goal mind, and it's a true goal mind, and you learn self-mastery, if someone's from the blue side or red side, it doesn't matter. And what's really interesting, I love only one aspect of politics, and that is it's usually divided down the middle, because I always chuckle. It's bigger than any of us. It's bigger than any of us. How can any election, now not every election is straight down the middle, 50-50, but it's not very much off. When you study, take just presidential elections for the history of the United States, it's amazing. Few real out of landslides that are this big, most of the time they're like this. How is that with our humanity? That's a good question, isn't it? But anyway, how many of you, let me see in the chat, does this look like your mind here? Somebody, they got a little bit of love going on here, but anybody? Does this look like your mind? Well, we're going to fix that today. We're going to fix that. Emily, every now and then, huh? No, I'm kidding. I'm picking on Emily. You're better than I am. My mind's all the time. Anyway, design it or default to it. This is the key, guys. If you don't design in your mind, you're going to default to the monkey mind. That's just the way it is. Or you're going to default to tension relieving. It's because you got to have a way out. If you're not goal achieving, you are tension relieving. There's no other choice. There's no other choice. You may say, "No, Fred, I'm in the present moment. I'm in Zen." You know, yeah, that's goal achieving then, because we're made for peace. That is our God-given right. That is what it's all about. Matter of fact, if you come to my office and you look, my number one thing up there is the peace of God. That's what we're here for. So, but you either design this goal mind or you're going to default to the tension relieving. You're going to either design your goal achieving or you're going to default to tension relieving. It's just no other way out. So you got to think about it. Either it's design or default. You know, this whole idea, when you think about it, nature's that way. You know, the way it's designed, that if it's left on its own, sometimes it defaults. It's the story of a farmer. This very high-powered, spiritual country preacher thought he was going to teach a farmer a lesson one day because he never saw him at his local church. And he would always drive by his farm and go, "I can't believe this guy doesn't come to church. Look how blessed he is." He had this 300-acre farm that was so beautiful. Everything was so pristine. The driveway was so lined with oak trees and other trees that were not a fraction of an inch out of sequence. And he had fountains going on, and he had these cattle. Even this cattle was the best looking cattle in town. And he had horses, and he had cows, and he had this, and he had that. Everything was just so gorgeous. So one day, the preacher got really frustrated, and he said, "That's it. I'm going to teach this guy a lesson." So he walks up to the farmer, finally gets up and gets the nerve to knock the door of the farmer and says, "Hey, howdy, preacher, how are you?" He said, "Bob, you know, I'm tired of this. I drive by your farm all the time. It's always pristine. There's not a blade of grass out of sequence. You live in this big, beautiful thing. It almost looks like heaven. And here you won't even step foot in the church." He said, "Don't you realize how blessed you are? Look around you." And old Bob said to the preacher, he said, "Preacher, you should have seen this place when God had it all to himself." Right? And that's like our lives. We've been given the raw material. But if we don't do something with it, we're going to default to weeds. If we're not green and growing, we definitely will become ripe and rotting. It's just the way life works. Either you design it or you default to something. And you will default to the monkey mind because the mind is made to be active. The mind is made to create. The mind is made to make progress. And if it's not moving forward, it's just by default. You're going to end up with the monkey mind. So the goal mind, it's only possible with time mind thinking, not time mind, M-I-N-E thinking. The majority of us, we have a time mind thinking, M-I-N-E. Like, oh my gosh, I'm getting so old. Oh my gosh, we're always putting age to stuff. Or we're always putting, time limits that we never meet. And that's not what I'm talking about. It's not that kind of mind, the M-I-N-E. Or we see someone and go, oh my gosh, look how big you got. I can't believe it. Well, how can you not believe it? Can you imagine what you're thinking in your mind? That's the goal of life, is to grow. And we talk to people, like, especially kids, like it's out of the ordinary, like, hey, you got to stop growing up. So the way we manage our minds is incredible. And then we give these messages out, or we mourn our time because we think it's limited when it isn't. We're limitless. We're eternal. Our humanity may have some limits to it, but our souls have no limits. And when you look up that homework, soul versus ego, you'll see that. So the goal mind, it's only possible with mind thinking, M-I-N-D, time mind thinking, that you got to mind the time and it's got to be there, but not that, you know, have you ever heard the song, I'm in a hurry to get things done and I rush until life's no fun? Not that kind of time. That's a time mind, M-I-N-E. But this kind of time is where it's a part of wisdom, okay? And time management, I love it. When I used to teach seminars, of course, one of my things that I used to do was an hour and a half, 2 hours on time management. But I never called it time management. I called it priority management because I had a great mentor, Dr. Dennis Waitley, and got fortunate to get on his staff. And, he used to teach, you can't manage time. You can't manage it. I can put my finger on my clock up here right now. It'll stop the minute hand, but I haven't managed anything because the real time is still going. So you can't manage time. You can only manage your priorities. So I want you to text me right now, okay? That number, you all got that number down? 561-609. Here, it's right here. If you can see it.
Tony, Fred, I already sent you a text and it kept coming back saying KV Core. It said your text to KV Core will not be delivered.
Really? Somebody else said same over here. That's weird.
I'm receiving text messages.
Wow, I'm receiving other text messages. I wonder because there's too many at a time.
It said the KV Core mobile app or text you contact directly to respond.
Wow. Okay.
I'll send it again.
No. Here, 561-702. Just for this project here. Not to. Emily said hers went through, but text it to this number then if you had a problem.
Go ahead.
All right, 561-702-3757. I typed it on the screen share there.
All right.
Here's what I want you to do. Now, listen, you got to be honest about this, okay? No cheating. This is a wild guess. And a wild guess, I want it instantaneous, not. So type my number and get ready, 561-702-3757. I don't want any calculators out. You got it? All right. How many days when you were born, how many days were you granted if you lived till 70? How many days are in a 70-year lifetime? Boom, hit me the text now, send it. No figuring, no thinking, just a wild guess. Wild guess. Okay. All right, keep going.
I think I went way over.
Keep going.
Ah, damn it.
Keep going.
I hit too many zeros.
Oh, some people may not understand the question. I'm sorry, they only put 20. I mean, how many days were you granted when you were born if you only lived till 70? I got answers like 200,000, 300,000. I got some answers that were like 20 and 70. Okay, a couple people didn't understand it. My bad. I got 50,000, 222,000, 25,000. Someone's really close there. Okay. Somebody said plus. Okay. Oh, plus. Okay. They added to. Yeah, it's in a 7-year lifetime.
No, I said 24,000 plus.
Plus. Yeah, I saw the plus after.
Like it's somewhere in the middle.
But anyway, 7-year lifetime, 25,550 days. Okay, send me another one. You ready? Get ready. No figuring, Jonathan. No calculating in your head. You thinker, you. Okay, here we go. How many hours did you get in your 70-year lifetime? How many hours were you granted? The day you were born, you're only living to 70, you were granted so many hours. Boom, a wild guess. Wild guess. A lot. I have some creative people. Yeah, 1 million. Okay. 500,000. All right, come on, guys. Hands. 100,000. 100,000. 250. 240,000. 400,000. 4 million. Okay. 2 million. 1 million. Okay. All right. Yeah, it was 613,200 hours. I've known those hours for a long, long time. And let me tell you, I know those hours. One day, I was, thinking about this, and I was reading the Psalms, okay? And the Psalms is a part of the Old Testament. It's Jewish scriptures, actually. King David, he has a verse in there. It says, teach us to number our days that we may apply our heart to wisdom. And I read it and I started to skip over it. I went, gee, what is that really? And I actually pulled my calculator out. I was sitting in a religious service. I pulled my calculator out and I started calculating. I did that when I was 24 years old. And I wrote next to that because it goes on to say that we were granted 70 years and if due to strength, 80 years. That was written a long time ago by King David. So I calculated, what does a 70-year lifetime really consist of? And I looked and my mouth dropped open. I no longer paid attention to what the guy up in front was saying. And I went, what? I only have 25,550 days? This is crazy. And I recalculated. And then I said, how many hours is that? What? 613,000? And for years, every time I would teach my session on time management, I would get the same kind of guess. 1 million, 2 million, 5 million. And you know, it's, so we need this concept of time. Now, some of you will say, hey, Fred, I thought this meeting was going to be encouraging. You just depressed me. Well, don't let it depress you because that's a time mine, M-I-N-E. You think we're limitless, we're eternal. So don't, but this is to get us thinking of a gold mine and why we need to be time sensitive, because the only way you get more out of your time is by having a plan. You can read the statistics. They say that 20% spent on planning equals 80% more production. So planning is so important, and that's what goals are all about. And a goal mine is all about. You're guiding yourself almost like a GPS system in your car. So that's what the goal mine is all about. So what is wisdom? One of my mentors, a spiritual mentor, taught me the ability to see and choose the highest possible goals together with the surest means of obtaining them. Surest means of obtaining them. So, and we're so fortunate to live in this day and age with YouTube and Google, that this university, everything highlighted in yellow, you know, you look up, you know, on YouTube and you're going to be informed, you're going to be educated. But now what do we do with it? What do we do with it? If you look this up, your homework, not now, look up the gold mine images or mind mapping. And I always go to images. I love going to images. You'll find all kinds of things like this, right? And then you'll find this whole thing called mind mapping. I've been involved in mind mapping before, and probably many of you have if you're in any kind of business. And the mind mapping, to me, it never got me to do anything. It was nice. I had fun. I laughed at the presenter. It was great. And it was aha, ooh, wow. But I want to get to a goal mine that is so simple and so easy that everybody will do it and can do it. And the real true, and you heard George use the word RAS a lot. Dennis Waitley, I don't know if he coined the term, but he taught that in the psychology of winning to the Olympic athletes many, many years ago. Not taught it, he used to emphasize it, because the reticular activating system is your secret to a goal mine. That's what it's all about. It's the secret to a goal mine. This is where your habits are formed. This is where your opinions are formed. This is where it's a little 4-inch mechanism in our brain that acts as a filter, but also lets stuff pass through. For instance, a filter. If any of you, when you're driving down the road, if I ask you to name every car you saw, give me the number of white cars you saw, give me the number of red cars you saw, give me the number of Lincolns that you saw, you would have any probably idea. But if I say how many, and if you're driving a bright red Lexus convertible, right? I drive a black Lexus convertible. Every time I see a black Lexus convertible, you know, that's the RAS, that's the reticular activating system, because it's I identify with it and I see it. And that's what happens to the goal mine. When you start getting and setting goals and you get real serious about this, and not just serious, goal setting is fun. Goal setting is fun. And then if I can get you to that goal mine part of your life, this reticular activating system takes over. You all read The Secret or heard of The Secret at least. And this is what The Secret's all about, is that it's about programming. And it's not about I get. It's about really a true plan. Here's the simplest way. And every time that I do this is that I've gotten my goals achieved. Is I was taught by Dr. Dennis Waitley, you start with a movie script. Your life is a movie. How many of you agree your life's a movie, right? But after you're gone a year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years from this particular existence, not many people are going to remember it, but many will. So you're writing the movie script. You're the director. You're the writer. You're everything. But you got to start with the last chapter. You got to start with the ending. How many of you, I've had a tombstone since I was 42 years old. Because I knew what I wanted written on it, and I wrote it on there. And it sits in Garden Grove, California. And it's been up there since I've been 42. I took it serious when I took this concept from Dr. Dennis Waitley. He says, you will not know what you want in life. And Ziegler used to say the same thing, until you know what's written on your tombstone, what you want written on your tombstone. So begin with the end in mind. And it's got to be this real big life goal. And that'll change, by the way. Mine's changed 5, 6 times. But my tombstone's still the same. It drove me. And even though I varied from it and fell off the wagon, so to speak, and I could go on a long time on that one, I'm back to what's on my tombstone. It's amazing. That's my life. That's my calling. And so you've got to begin with the end in mind. So your first part of having a goal mind, you need to get some quiet time and you need to write down. And it ought to be at least 10 years for you, okay? Because it's got to be a big enough. This is not goal setting. This is the ending of your story, how it ended. It's what's on your tombstone. So really think that through and write it down. Go out and buy yourself a tombstone and write it on there. And I'm serious about that. Because I take Dr. Dennis Waitley and Zig Ziglar seriously. You will never know what you truly want in life until you know what you want written on your tombstone, or until you can write your own eulogy. Then you start writing the chapters. Then you start writing the pages. Then you start writing the paragraphs, and then you write the sentences. And that's what a goal mind's all about. You keep it simple, because the mind takes us in the direction of our dominant thoughts, a positive, forward, goal achieving. And guess what? If you don't have that, the mind has to be active, so it takes you in a negative forward, which is really a reverse backwards of what you truly say you want. And that's where the monkey mind comes in. Oh, yeah, I want it. Oh, I can't do it. That's not me. Oh yeah. I got to try. Oh, I got to listen to Tom Martin on Friday. He's going to fix me. Right, Tom? If Fred can't do it, Tom will do it. And then if George just comes in on Monday and he picks up from there. Yeah, right? So we always are looking for the magic sauce. It doesn't happen. We got to have a goal mind. Otherwise, you are going to be doing tension relieving, or you're going backwards. A goal mind, we all have goals. You know, a lot of people, when I hear speakers like, do you have any goals? Everybody has a goal. It's a goal to or not to. Right? It's a goal to do something, not to do something, achieve or deceive. It's a goal, and there's a habit by Dr. Dennis Waitley that I'm going to send out to everybody. That's called habit, which is all about the RAS, the reticular activating system. And he talks about this. And he says, we will move in that direction. You move in the direction you set, or you move in the direction someone else has set for you. Your parents when you were younger. Your abuse when you were younger. I was sexually abused as a kid. And that tried to set my direction many times. And many times I didn't realize it was because I never felt good enough. I didn't know that until many, many years later in life. So either we are going to set our life, either we're going to design our life and design our goal mind, or those things will do it. Whether you were bullied in school, whether you were too pretty. Sometimes kids grow up that are beautiful kids, and it served them in a negative way. So we are going to be moving in the direction of all that confusion with that monkey mind if we don't practice self-mastery. We got to practice self-mastery. We got to spend hours on YouTube. Self-mastery. Jim Rohn, the master who said, you don't work on anything else until you work on yourself. You move in the direction you set or someone else has set. The mind cannot work on the reverse of an idea or ideal. It can't work on the reverse of it. Yeah, I'm going to be a good salesman. Well, it can't work on the reverse of that if you don't have your mind set in the proper way. The mind must always be specific. It's specificity. The Raz loves specificity. If I drive a black convertible, I see all the black convertibles. That's specific. The mind loves specificity. Otherwise, it's a monkey mind. Goal mind or goal circle of life images. That's your homework. Look it up. You'll get hundreds of these. And you know the whole deal behind here, and I've been in these seminars, they go, hey, listen, what you do is you take a pen here now. I want you to look at your recreation in your life. I want you to draw a line on 1 to 10, 1 being in the middle, 10 being on the outside. What does it look like? Okay, you're only a 4 here. And then they go and they say, how about your physical? Oh, you're in great physical shape. Okay, you're 9 there. And okay, you're here and here. And then they say, now look at that. Could that wheel run? You got to have a round wheel. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I used to practice this. I used to try this. I used to try and convince people this is the way you got to live life. I haven't met one person yet, folks. Not one. If you know of one, tell them that. I want to talk to them. That on a consistent basis, their life is totally round and they're running without a bump in the road. Anybody will admit it. My buddy Frank McKinney, who wrote the Aspire book. He wrote that book after 7 other books and building 48 multi-million-dollar mansions at an average price of $16 million each. And he has villages in Haiti, and he's all about life. And he had to write a book called Aspire. And he said his greatest motivation was why he was still so inconsistent in his life. So this is a ongoing life project. Now, you saw George. He has his in writing. He keeps it with his credit cards. He had people on Monday were sharing about how they have their goals posted. Some people have dream boards. All that's great stuff, and you need that. One of the greatest things I did over a year or so ago, I invested $49 in an app called Day One App. Day One App. It's a journaling app. And it's also, you can set up personal journals, goal journals, and everything else. You can take photos with it. You can record. You can, so that's the way I keep track of my goals. That's the way my goals are in there. I review them every morning. I review them every night. They're not that complicated. They're very simple. And the way I do my goals, I can't do this stuff, folks. I can't do this, but I can do this. I have a goal for 2035. It's what's on my tombstone. And every year I go, I'm getting closer. Wow, this is great. This is the way this thing is working out. And physical, I always say our physical body is an indication of what's going on in our soul. So when you go to do this, you begin in the end of mind, get that big goal. Then you come down. You can't set goals more than a year. Not any more than a year. You got to have a life goal. And then every year, you need to start with the end in mind. So December 31st every year, January 1st every year, I sit and I look back and I go, missed that one. Oh, I could have done better than that one. Oops, that's okay. I'm going to do better this year. And then I start looking at it and then I rewrite them. And so I want to do this right now because we can do this in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. This I do want you to write down. My physical goal. If you're driving, don't worry about it. You'll get this if you send me your information. Physical goal. And if that 609 gives you a hard time, maybe there's just too many texts coming in, use my cell, the other number I gave you, and I'll give it to you right before we end. But this Day One app, I love it. It's the best thing I've ever found. So my physical goals, I do something this simple, and I only did one here to give you an idea. You always have to talk in the first person. I weigh blank to blank. For me, my secret is a 9-pound spread. And if I get up to there, duct tape comes out. I tape my mouth. I won't eat for 3 days, which is healthy for you. I fast often. A 3-day fast is very healthy. Study that on YouTube. Fast is so healthy for you. Oops, I'm still in marketing. Fasting is so healthy for you. I'm going to get out of this. Where's my? Oh, it's hide with my other. That's fine. So study this on YouTube. Fasting. It's definitely. I'll hit this. Hold on a second. Let me get out of here. Good. So I want you to study this. No, still the same. That's okay. Study fasting. So if you can't keep it a 9-pound spread by practicing fasting, then but again, this is not going to happen in a month, 2 months, 3 months. But I want you to say December 31st, 2021. If you haven't done this yet, then start with 2021, it would be. But I started with this year in mind. So I look, and this is one of my goals. I look what? And I have a statement for myself. I feel, and I write this out. I keep it real simple, folks. I can't do it any other way. I can do blank and blank and blank. For me, I can do 35 push-ups, which is half my age. I mean, I have 34 and a half push-ups, half of my age. No, what was it? I have now 33 and a half. I'm 67. So I can do that many push-ups. I can do so many pull-ups. I can do this. I can rollerblade 30 miles. I love rollerblading. So again, you're living your life in advance. This is dreaming. Time, money, and circumstances does not hold you back. Nothing holds you back. Many people say to me, but Fred, you don't understand. Oh, I understand. I understand that's only your story. Get rid of your stories, folks. You're not your story. You're not what you heard at the top of stairs when you were a little kid. You're not your abuse. You're not the negative party. You're not this. You're not that. You're not that. Self-mastery, study it. So on your goals, let's just put it all in this first person here. I feel, I can do. I average blank. Sleep to me is very important. But I average about 5 hours a night to 6 hours a night during the week. It's just the way I function. But my goal that I have written and I study, and I have a Fitbit. I like it. I didn't like the Apple Watch. It's just because I only have it for one reason. Believe it or not, I do it use only for sleep. That's the reason I wear my Fitbit watch. To me, and so I average 6.5 hours, an average of 7 days a week. Actually, it's not even 6.5, it's 6.25, I think I have down. I love specificity. So must daily. Now, I have a lot of must in my goals. Every day I must, and I just gave you this one example. This is a 4-minute workout by Dr. Zach Bush. Look it up. It's Dr. Zach Bush for 4-minute workout. I must do that every day. I must. I won't go to bed. And I knock it out the first thing I get out of bed. I knock it out first thing I get out of bed. And watch what it does to your energy. Minimum 3.5 days a week of 30-minute yoga workout. I love yoga. And I don't go to yoga studios. I don't like them. I can't concentrate when people are doing the downward dogs and all that other stuff. Sorry. I use my Wii. I've used it now for many, many years. I love the yoga workout there. So simple stuff. Keep it simple. Non-workout day. Well, minimum 3.5 days a week. If I have a non-workout day, I make sure I have 4,400 steps. A lot of people say 10,000 steps. You won't do it. You won't do it. Study that on YouTube. They did a study on this, 4,400 steps. But you do have to do some of this. 1 push-up, 1 pull-up. Every day minimum, I got to do it. Because I know if I do 1, guess what? I usually knock out another 8, 9, 10, 20, whatever it may be. Because you got to get started. Make it simple. A physical, so this is my physical week. I call it my physical week, starts on a Monday. You know why? Because if I'm behind on Sunday, I make up on Sunday. Now, I don't go 6 days and crash it all on Sunday, because that's not a goal of mine. That's a tension relieving mind. So mental is the same way. I want you to keep it simple. If you have more than this on your goal sheet, you're not going to do it. So your mental, I have a minimum of 12 hours a week. I have written a goal on YouTube University or TED Talks. And I exceed it every week. Because once I start listening to it in the car, I can't put it off. I gotta pick that back up. I hit it in my save file. Your YouTube must be a subscribed YouTube, because you can download videos, you can download content, you can save it, you can do other things on your phone while you're listening to it for $13 a month. It's worth its gold. YouTube, subscribe, the premium. Then you have your spiritual, same thing. Don't think you're going to become a monk, not yet. Whatever your goals are in your spiritual, it's very simple. Family, and remember, you got to think ahead of time. On 12/31/21, I am, I did, I feel, all these words up here. I am, I have, I did, I feel, so, find yourself a spiritual mentor. You send me your contact. I will be glad to be your spiritual mentor. Family, very simple goals. Your vacation, it's very simple. Keep it simple and make it proactive. But think with the end in mind. 12/31,
Good morning.
2021. And that 12/31/21 is that you had a 6-week retreat. I have one set. This year. I have a 6 to 8 week, very, very large VRBNO in Tennessee, where 2 of the weeks are for my quiet spiritual retreat. No one's allowed. I don't want to see anybody talk to anybody. The other weeks there's 2 or 3 weeks blocked for family, and the other 2 weeks are open house. I'm going to invite my friends from, Baltimore and other friends. So I see that already happening. So when 12/31/21 comes around, it's done. Career, financial, social is the same. These are the areas I work. If you want to get more complicated and get more detailed, then go find these. But you got to study self-mastery and do everything you can to have this goal mind, or otherwise you're stuck with a monkey mind. The mind cannot work on the reverse of an idea or ideal. It just doesn't work. So with that, I would love you. I'm hoping that you wrote down at least these 7 areas and you wrote down a couple visions for yourself on 12/31/21, what your life looks like. This is very simple. If you could write these down quickly. And I'm asking you to please, you don't have to share the specific goals, but just say, Fred, I got at least one thing in every 7 areas. If you don't do it today, next week, whenever you do it, please just, answers@defalco.com. Shoot me an email, a text, say, hey, I got mine, at least one in each area, that when I sit on 12/31/2021, I feel I did this. I'm set, Fred. I at least have one in each area. Okay? Because that will then start creating the goal line. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to open it up to you all. And questions, ahas, it's all yours.